Madeira, Manchester, Madrid, Turin, and Manchester again. Aguero! Goal for South Africa! Goal for all Africa! Roma have risen from their ruins!
So, we're recording now. So, actually, for everybody that's listening, if you are listening, we do record our podcast episodes, and we try to stay as up to date with editing them and getting them out as possible. And yeah, you can go on YouTube to watch the full episodes. If you've missed anything, or you want to listen to another aspect of our discussion, again, go to our YouTube at On a Yellow Football Podcast. And we also post on Instagram, where we post when our shows are going to be, as well as our real posts. So that's where you get to see the recaps that we do on air. And also we post on TikTok as well. And I think we might be posting on Spotify soon, but I'm not sure. I think we wanted to, but I don't know if we're going to be doing that yet. Only time will tell?
I guess.
Okay, only time will tell. Well, if you like listening, you have to listen live right now, but we will get our podcast episodes probably out to Spotify. But right now, YouTube is our main for the full episodes. We got some really cool graphics, some cool photos that you get to watch. Just making the 1 hour of listening time kind of interesting, and kind of cool. All right, let's go to the Canadian Soccer Recap now. Welcome to the Canadian Soccer Recap.
Pick up your phone and call Thomas Skublak if you need a house or if you need some goals. Skublak picked up 2 goals in a 4-1 thumping against Atletico Ottawa, last year's champions. And now Atletico Ottawa finds themselves second to last in the table with only 1 win.
Forge hammered out another victory, which sees themselves gain a 2-point lead at the top of the table. They beat the Halifax Wanderers 3-1. This game featured a goal by Brian Wright, who sees himself tied at the top for the most goals in the league at 3.
Late drama, FVS challenges, and exploding flares as the Cavalry pick up a late win with a penalty goal from Tobias Warshevsky. Birthday boy manager Tommy Wheeldon Jr. had 2 successful FVS challenges in this game, one to get the penalty and one to reverse a penalty call, and I would say that the gaffer's birthday wishes were well received.
Well received indeed. Well, the British Columbian derby between Pacific FC and Vancouver FC has come and gone. This time, Vancouver FC leave victorious, beating Pacific FC 3-1. This game featured a brace by striker Taryn Campbell. Now, we've talked about the CPL, but let's move on to talk about some Canadian players abroad.
The championship playoffs are in full swing this time of year, and this time featuring 3 Canadians, Liam Miller on Hull City, Kyle Larin on Southampton, and Alfie Jones on Middlesbrough, and I think it'd be great to see some Canadians grace the Premier League.
Moving up to Scotland, some great news coming out of Celtic as Alistair Johnston is back. They were able to beat Hibernian 2-1, and Alistair Johnston was able to even get an assist. Now, with all that being said, Zach, can you do your sign off, please?
Bonjour, au revoir, and have a great rest of your week.
See you later, guys. All right, that was a very good recap, in my opinion. I think we nailed that.
Check the little point to the camera.
I don't even know
Bonjour,
if I did that.
au revoir.
I don't even know if I did my point, to be honest.
You didn't do your...
No, I was just talking to you, bro. But, we did some banter there. I added some banter points. So for, the people listening, we do these recaps every week now, and we post them on our on
social media,
on our social media, mostly Instagram, and we put cool videos, cool photos, cool sound effects. We got the ding sound effect going on.
No dings.
Are we not doing the ding anymore? It's the pop sound effect now, as Zach is demonstrating for us on air right now. Very good demonstration, actually. It's exactly what we have. It's the pop sound effect, and are we using whooshes as well?
I don't think there's any whooshes. There's little camera clicks.
Oh yeah, camera clicks.
I don't think I can make that sound.
As you can see, this is the On Yellow podcast. We go over sound effects and how to do them.
And now you can use them in your podcast too.
Exactly.
We're just helping out, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Wow, that was even. Try to do mine. Whoosh. Whoosh. Oh, that was a good one. Oh, you even hit the mic. Wow. Yeah. So I mean, to be honest, I mean, if you like sound effects, just come on air or just use them. I guess I don't know. I guess just go on YouTube and look at our video and take the sound effects we just gave you, because we gave you some pretty good ones. So, maybe you get the next viral video, just tag On Yellow, and then we get credit for the sound effects that we did. Well, sound effects aside, there's some really interesting things I want to talk about today. And, we talked about a lot about Champions League, and I think we'll get to that towards the end of the podcast episode, because obviously the next games of the tie in the semifinal of the Champions League are starting today with Atletico Madrid and Arsenal playing. But I want to talk a lot about Canadian football, because there's some really interesting things coming out of Canadian football. But I really want to talk about our Cavs, because we're, of course, Cavalry FC fans. And, I want to kind of know your opinion on our season so far. We played, 5 games or 4 games this season? I think
5.
5 games this season. We played 5 games this season, and we have, we're undefeated. Now,
11 points.
11 points. Obviously, 13 points is the 2-point lead by Forge FC. Now, what are your thoughts about the Cavs this season so far? Like, any players standouts? Any standouts from last game or from the other games? Like, anything that you want to talk about, really?
Well, I mean, without Didic already,
Yeah.
He's missed the last 2 games, and that was something I was worried about when we did sign him. Would he be healthy? And he clearly, he was for the first couple games, and I think he played really well.
Yep.
And I think we have really good depth in that position with Levi Lang,
Totally.
being able to come in. But Didic, I think, already missing is not a great sign.
Yeah.
Especially with his age, and how many games will we really get from him this season? And that's one thing that maybe worries me a little bit, is the defense, and having not necessarily played together super often.
Yeah.
With now Perlman taking over for Fraser Aird on that side, it makes things a little bit more difficult. And I think it's been seen a little bit so far this season. We've let in 3 goals in 5 games is not terrible, but when you look at Forge, who's first in the league, they've only allowed 1 goal all season.
It's a league the Canadian Premier League is dominated by the heavy hitters, and the heavy hitters have been Atletico Ottawa, which is not this season, Forge, and Cavs, right? And I think to win the league, you have to win those games against those teams, but you also have to, not let goals scored against you. And I think, we're not terrible, but some of the goals that we've let in against the teams that we could have beaten, I think, is also another thing to kind of consider. I think our defense worries me in the sense, I think Klomp's good, but yeah, we seem to have a different back line every game. And I think that worries me. Pick the people you want to be there. We don't have Mihail anymore, so obviously we have Camden that's playing in that left back position, and he's doing pretty well.
I mean, yeah, he's typically, I feel like he played center back.
Yeah.
A little bit more in the past, and now he's kind of stepping into the fullback. I think he has what it takes to play fullback. He's got good pace. He's good at getting the ball whipped in, and I think he links up pretty good with Gote. It's just a little bit difficult at this point, to see how the full season will pan out. But we can't really be too upset.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the season, because last year's we hadn't even won a game in April ever.
Yeah.
At that point, we picked up multiple wins in April now, and a much better start than last season. Last season we had 8 draws in the first 10 games.
I remember we just drew every single game, it seemed. And I like how the Cavs are playing right now, but there's a couple people I want to see more of, and one of those is Ali Musi. I feel like Ali Musi has been not very poor, but he's been poor for what we know Ali Musi to be.
Well, one thing that I'd like to bring up is I'd like to see Tobias Warszewski score an open play
Yes.
goal. He has 2 goals and they're both penalties.
Yeah.
And Dan Klomp also
Yeah.
has 2 goals.
Well, that's also another thing. It's like when your top goal scorer is like a center back without, scoring and he's scored 2 goals that weren't from penalties. That's
they're
a problem.
both off of fantastic whipped in balls.
Yeah, whipped in balls, one by Toby. Was the other one by Toby too?
Ali Musi.
Ali Musi, yeah. So one's on the right, one's on the left. But like, I don't know. I think I want to see more goals.
I want our wingers to get more involved.
Yes, I think the 2 wingers that we have, Gote and Musi, they need to get more involved.
And, great depth on those positions too with now Nathaniel Edwards
Herdman.
and Jay Herdman.
Yeah.
But I'd also like to see, Sergio Camargo maybe score a couple goals here and there. He's got the 1 assist on the season, which, he's getting older. He's played here for a lot of
Yeah.
years now at this point. And he's kind of always been someone we can rely on to be, an effective starter.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to see him contribute to the attack a little bit more, especially with how at the
Totally.
beginning of the season, the Cavs were talked about as this team with, the best attack in the league and, a bunch of players who've played here before, and then strengthening that with players who, haven't played in the league before but have played at good levels and have competed well at those
Yeah.
levels. And I mean, we've scored the same amount of goals as Forge has, but I think the attack's just lacking a little bit. 7 goals in 5 games is still a pretty good number.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that the way that they talked about this team coming into the season, we would have expected a little bit more from the attack.
Yeah. I want a bit more. Like, I think, when I look at the stats, right? Gote, I think, has 1 goal. Musi has 1 assist. And then Warszewski has 2 goals, but not from open play. That worries me. You look at Brian Wright of Forge having 3 goals already this season. Of course, one of them, I believe, was a penalty, but he's still a really strong striker. And I know Toby is a strong striker. I think Toby's been, in the runnings for the most goals in the league for at least 2 seasons now. And it's like he's really strong. I think with Toby, he seems to pick it up at the end of the season. And I would want to see more of that at the starting of the season. But again, Toby's one of those guys, he's not really he doesn't really play striker often, like a number 9. He moves around a lot, right? He's that advanced forward, false 9, but then that also leaves a ton of space for Gote or Musi to push up and be in that striker position and score some goals. I want to see more goals from Musi, but I also want to see with Musi, it was not a great display last game for Musi. He looked a little bit. I think he's a really good dribbler of the ball, but he made some really poor passes and decisions and stuff that you wouldn't think a player of Ali Musi's caliber in this league would do. And he got taken off and subbed in the second half in the 60th minute or something like that. And I want to see more from him because I know the type of player he is, but I also know how good he is and how involved in the game he is and just contributing to being that dangerous player that can contribute to the attack. And that's something we just haven't seen this year.
I think, looking at, there's still a lot of season left to be played.
Yeah, it's
and
only 5 games, right? So
things can still change drastically, but I think other teams' strikers are finding their footing a little bit
Yes.
more at this point,
Mm-hmm.
scoring goals from open play. Specifically Inter Toronto,
yeah.
with Julian Altobelli and Thomas Gublak both having 3 goals from open play at this
Yeah,
point.
and both of them being at the top with Brian right there, and that's a really neat thing to see as well. That both your strikers could be your main guys, right? And I mean, I think with Toby again, like we said, he always picks it up at the end of the season where he scores a ton of goals, it seems. But right now, it's he needs to score more and be that player. Seeing that it's his 3rd or 4th season with the club now, that I would love to see him really pick it up and be that player, right?
Well, he's been here since 2024.
Yeah.
So this is his third season
Yeah.
now. I mean, just looking at his stats, you
Yeah.
know, throughout the seasons, in 2024 he had 15 goals
Yep.
and 3 assists in 31 matches.
Mm-hmm.
Last season 14 and 5 and
Yeah.
35. And at this point, you know, he has 3 and 5.
He has 3
Which-
goals.
No, 2. I'm just
Oh,
combined goals and
Yeah.
assists.
yeah.
He's got 3 and 5, which technically means this year he's on pace for his best season, I think.
Yeah, he's doing well.
It's just I'd like to see some non-penalty goals.
Same. He's great at penalties, but I want to see some goals from open play. Like I know he can do. You know, he's scored some great goals. I mean, with him, it's like like I said, he's so fluid with his position. Like he's all over the place when it comes to being in the attacking. But we can use that in the kind of attacking end. Like we can use that like to our advantage, right? I mean, obviously having wingers like Gote and like Musi, who are also good finishers of the ball, I think that they could possibly do really well. I think I need to see more involvement from that front three. I think Toby's doing fine, but yeah, I think Gote, especially for Gote being played in France, came back and stuff like that. I want to see a bit more involvement from him. You know, he had 2 goals and 5 assists in 16 matches last season, I believe. And now, he only has 1 assist, which, I mean, to be honest, like, he could probably get over that 2 goals and 5 assists this season.
Is that Ali Musi?
I think, no, that's Gote.
I mean, Gote, he didn't play the entire season.
No, he only played 16, games, right? So,
He had 5 goals he has 5 goals in 21 games for us.
yeah.
Since joining in July last year,
Which is pretty good.
which is better than when he was here before. He had
Yeah.
2 goals in 20.
There you go. And I mean, Musi, we know Musi. He's our most veteran player on that team, except for Camargo. Yeah, both of them are there, right? Him and Camargo are kind of the veterans for the Cavs game, I would say. So you say I think with Musi, I want to see him have more involvement. Now, during the Supra game, I hope this is not a long-term thing. I don't think it is. Harry Payton went off injured, but nothing's been said on any news or anything that he's been injured long-term. So I think it was just
I think it was just a little bit of a knock.
a little bit of a knock,
But,
a
I think
twinge
another
in his
player
knee or something.
that I would like to see, get a little bit more opportunity.
Yeah.
I think he's technically probably injured right now.
Yeah.
Is Maël Henry.
Yes,
think
he's
he
injured,
can-
I believe.
He can add a lot when he's back.
Yeah.
I think he's a talented player.
Hmm.
He's still only 21, and I think he has a lot of speed to play in attacking midfield. And I think he could come on in a lot of these games and create some sort of havoc in place of Camargo.
Well, what's your thoughts on Nico Myronuk coming on for Peyton over Baldissimo, which would probably been the other option?
I mean,
I think they
it
wanted
was
more attacking.
I think it was technically also a move to get minutes for under 21 players because we
Yeah.
haven't really had any so far
Okay.
throughout the season.
because there's a rule, right? You have to get a
Yeah,
certain
you have to
amount
have
of
a
minutes.
certain number of minutes from under 21 players, and the only players on our team that are under 21 would be, and I think they have to be under 21 Canadians too.
Okay.
And for that, we have
Holiday.
James McGlinchey, Michael Harms, Nico Myronuk.
And our goalie.
He's 21. I don't know if it's 21 and under or under 21.
And he won't get game time though. So
And then we
Because,
have
Nate Ingham
if
isn't
if it is 21 and under, then we have Maël Henry, Adam Perlman as well.
okay.
But I think it was a move to give another player minutes.
Yeah.
I think Baldissimo's been good. I think he's made a couple of mistakes when he's played too.
Yeah.
He's only played 26 minutes in the 4 games he's come on, so he's been a very late substitution in
Yeah.
every game.
Yeah.
Whereas Nico's has only played in 2 of them, but has 65 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to see Nico getting that game time.
Yeah. I think, Nico could be a really good player. What I saw from last game, though, was just a player that lacked some confidence. he's still an extremely young player. And I think it seems like he's lacking a little bit of confidence. He's that type of player, that type of Cam that's really good with the ball at his feet, right? He has that kind of swagger to him.
He's listed as a defensive midfielder.
He has that swagger to him, right? I view him more as a center mid, but right, like he has that like swagger to him that I really like. I think the only thing about him is like it seems like he lacks a little bit of that confidence. I saw last game he seemed to do the easy pass instead of doing the long through ball into the other end, or trying to do a pass that is a lower percentage pass, right? It seemed like he did a lot of just the easy passes. Like he would take the ball on a little tiny run and then just dish it off to the guy that was closest to him. And I mean, that's like, it's pretty good. It gets you touches. I mean, if you're passing it into a good area, it's not necessarily bad. And I mean, passing to the guy beside you is something that it's perfectly fine to do. It's just all the time shows me that it's a player that lacks a little bit of confidence with their ability, and trying to just do the easy pass to make it so the gaffer can look at them and be like, oh, they're good. They're not missing passes. They're not getting passes intercepted and stuff like that. But I would like to see, just more confidence, more just trying, right? Trying new things, trying different things. Because I think that, Nico has that skill, and there is a place on this team for him, especially in the future with the Camargos and stuff leaving, like we've talked about before. You want to add on that?
I mean, I think another young player in the midfield that I'd like to see, play a little bit.
Yeah.
He got called up for the Canadian under-20 team.
Yep.
James McGlichny, I think he's also been, kind of injured at the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
But, obviously he's a talented player if he got called up to that team.
Yeah. Totally.
with players from European academies, from MLS academies.
Yeah.
Some fellow CPL guys like Shola Jimo,
Yep.
who, I think is also a massively talented player in this league, and will get a move to Europe within due time for sure. And I think James McGlichny could kind of come into some of these games at the end, and I think he could add, a couple assists here and there, maybe a goal. And I think he's a talented player who can, make a mark if he gets that opportunity to be a breakout player, similar to Nico. And I think Tommy's trying to give Nico those minutes to build confidence, to make, change Nico's mind in his head that he can play at this level. And I think if he can create that confidence in his players, then it'll be important for, hopefully winning a championship this season. You need players on the bench who can come in and make an impact on those games. And, a 20-year-old still has so much opportunity to grow in their career, and it would be a big-time player if he can get going.
Exactly. I mean, for Nico, he was dispossessed 4 times last game, and he lost 14 duels. So I think, maybe physicality could be another kind of factor in his game that he might need to get more. Obviously, he's young. But I think the main thing would be confidence, like I said earlier. I think for us to especially being a team that has a very good, solid first team 11, I think it's great to filter in some of these young talent. Obviously, we have to because of the rules, but I think just filtering them in for the future, because like I said before, Camargo is getting up there in age. Musi is getting up there in age. Like, there's a lot of spaces that are going to be needing replacements and needing filling. And wouldn't it be great to kind of fill those spots with players we already have on our team that we don't need to necessarily get someone in to fill those positions. We fill the position with a homegrown talent that we've kind of grew from kind of the bottom now to this first team. And I think that would be really cool to see.
Well, you mentioned, dispossessed 4 times.
Yeah.
Only won 4 of his 14 ground duels. But, there was other parts of his game that
totally
were really well done perfectly in that game. He made 23 of 26 accurate passes. He blocked a shot. He took a shot, just off target. He made 7 defensive contributions, 3 tackles,
Yeah.
1 clearance, 3 interceptions, 4 recoveries.
Yeah.
And I think, that's what makes him an exciting prospect
Yeah,
is how
totally.
much he can do in the defensive midfield.
Well, just the two-way player, actually.
He's definitely more of a box-to-box kind of guy. And someone who can, potentially... We've seen that he can score goals. He scored 2 goals last year.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think they were both very well taken,
Yes.
very hard shots for the goalkeeper to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can get some opportunities to take shots like that, I think he could score a couple goals this season too.
Exactly. I think with him as well, it's confidence. It's another thing, right? We talked about confidence of just playing, but it's also confidence to take that shot. A lot of times when I'm watching Nico, when he's getting subbed on, he gets a chance to always shoot, it seems. He's always at the top of the box where he gets the ball, he's at the top of the box and he has a chance to shoot, but doesn't take that chance and then either loses it or tries to make a pass off.
Well, I think if he can, bag a goal,
Yeah.
that would do numbers on his confidence for sure.
Exactly. And, I think he's a very talented player that could definitely be a Cavs faithful in the future here. Like, be that one of those starting 11 guys, one of the main guys, right? He's still so young that, like, he has so much more time in his career to grow as a player. And, if we think about it, 10 seasons, right, is 10 years, which means that Nico would be in 10 seasons, 30 years of age, right? 30, 31. So, those 10 seasons, imagine like what he could be to grow to a level of where Camargo's sitting at right now at 34. So it's like, imagine how much growth that player could have, or any of the under 21s can have. So it's a bright future for sure. I think, we've talked about it before. Nico is one of, he's getting a lot more game time for a lot of the other prospects, or compared to the other prospects. And I think there's a reason for that. He's a very hard-working player. And I think that hard work mentality with just a little bit extra confidence could really make Myronik make a name for himself.
I think, somebody we have to talk about is Eric Kobza.
Yes.
He's played every minute so far this season. And, he's had a fantastic season. I think he's played a perfect game almost in the defensive midfield. He's been a rock. He had the most defensive contributions last game. And he had the most accurate passes. He's kind of a deep-lying playmaker trying to create from, a deeper spot as opposed to, some midfielders who kind of advanced playmakers like a Camargo. And I think, he's a very solid player. He's, played here for years now. He kind of started as a center back and has slowly moved into the defensive midfield. And I think he's, a player that could be exciting in a couple of years. There was some rumors, I think a couple of years ago, that MLS teams were interested in him, but he decided he could stay in Calgary. And I think he's going to be a big player for us this season if we do want to win, a championship this year. He had 43 of 51 accurate passes, created 1 chance. He blocked a shot.
I believe he got man of the match as well.
He had 50% accurate long balls.
Totally.
12 passes into the final third, 1 touch in the opposition's box. And, in terms of defense, 5 clearance, 3 interceptions, 8 recoveries. He was,
Totally.
A big rock in the defense for us.
Well, he's he's 24 years of age, I believe. He had a great match last game. But, I really liked that move from the center back position to the center defensive mid position. I think he's a really good player with the ball. And, it's something like we've had kind of the same midfield for a while now. And then now we've kind of reinforced our midfield really with Payton and putting Camargo up further up the pitch, and it kind of left that spot for a Baldissimo or a Kobza, and I think Kobza has really shown how good he is. When he was in the center back position, he wasn't terrible, but that was back kind of when we played that 3-back formation where we kind of had the 3 at the back, where Klomp wasn't on the team and Kobza would play back with Montgomery and Camden, I think. I believe that's what it was. We had the three back formation, and Kobza was playing there, and I felt like he was really good with the ball and needed to move forward. And I don't think he was great on defense. Actually, I think I like him now more being that defensive mid. I feel like he actually has a spot on the team because, like before, it was like Kobza's just going to be on the bench now, seeing that we got Didic and we got Klomp and we got Lang and those center backs I think are stronger in the center back position. But I think it was a great decision for Tommy to place him in that center defensive mid position. Did he play center defensive mid last season? Like, did he I swear we would make a sub and we would push him upfield.
I'm not sure. I don't think I can.
Yeah, I can't really recall it specifically, but I think there was something there, and there is something there now. Obviously, he had a great performance last game. He's strong with his tackles. He's confident in tackling, which is great because I felt like I think last year especially, he would get some yellow cards for just some kind of poor tackling or poorly timed tackling. And right now he's doing some really good timed tackles, and I think that's something that's needed in our midfield. Baldissimo is decent, but I think Baldissimo is a bit of a wrecking ball when it comes to the center defensive mid position.
Well, Baldissimo doesn't play very much.
Doesn't play very much.
He only
then when
played
he does,
17 games last season.
And then when he does, he gets some not reds, yellows, which is, fine. But I think, the less fouls you get as a center defensive mid is great. If you can get that ball off and dispossessed without fouling the person, that's what we all want. And I think Kobza's been strong.
Kobza isn't even a candidate to get subbed out anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
He's played the full 90 every game this season. Yeah. And at the end of last season, he played the full 120 in the final.
Yeah.
He played full 90 against Forge, full 90 against Toronto, 88 minutes against Vancouver.
That's a ton
90
of minutes.
Against Forge, 18, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. He's always starting for us. And I think he's a big time player for us now.
Yeah, he's no longer just a bench player or a guy we can kind of, cycle around. He is a mainstay in that starting 11, and he deserves it, being one of our best midfielders this season. And another thing, Nate Ingham, he had a great save, but he hasn't really had much to deal with. He saved the ones that could have cost us the victory, and that's strong. But again, he hasn't had to do much, and I think he's done very well for the limited amount of shots that he's getting per game. And it's something that's really cool to see.
2 clean sheets in 5 games is pretty good.
Yeah.
3 goals conceded. He hasn't had. It's not that special of a season. It's not a bad season. It's just kind of a season.
It's a season.
We just needed somebody to come in and be a solid set of hands.
And he was a good replacement. So that's really good to see. Now, we played against FC Supra, and I think, these couple of games that they have had it's a pretty good start for an expansion franchise, in my opinion. I think, they're 6 points, 2 wins, 2 losses. I believe they have a 0 goal differential. So that's pretty cool. And I've really liked Supra and their game. They're fast paced. They're always trying to counter attack. They're very verbal on the pitch, and I think that is something that I really like. They're intense. They're a franchise that they know it's their first season, but they're playing really strong, and they're honestly playing like it's not their first season at the moment. And I think it's something that a lot of people didn't think of. Last game, I think it was just a boring game in general. Last game against the Cavs, obviously they lost because of the penalty decision. But, I think the standout for all of their games so far, all of their games, actually, which is cool, all their games have been decided by 1 goal. So they've been close games, even the ones they've lost. And, they lead the league in shots per match, which is cool. And
well, they have a terrible conversion rate then.
they have a terrible conversion rate. And then they're second in the accurate long ball section, which just kind of shows how their counterattacking football is, right? Now, Sean Rea has been the standout player on that franchise. And, he's kind of having a resurgence. So he's only like 23 years of age, but he's played for Valor, CF Montreal, Halifax, and now Supra, which is a crazy resume for a 23-year-old. Now, his best season was in 2022, where he was, 19? Yeah, 19. He was 19 or 20, and he had 5 goals and 9 assists in 28 matches. Right now he has 1 goal, 1 assist in 4 games. So I think he could maybe make that level. I mean, he's been their facilitator, and he's done a really good job at that. He starts plays, and I don't think he's doing really well right now. I mean, his dribbling ability is something that's top notch, and I think it's something that team kind of shows. They're fast, fluid football, extremely good dribblers of the ball, and he had an 100% successful dribbles game last game, and that's honestly like something that you want to see a center attacking mid have. You want to see a center attacking mid be successful in the dribbles and not lose the ball, and that's something that he's not doing right now. I just think that they need to convert more. They get all these shots, but they don't score. So you get the most shots on target in the league, but you're not scoring the goals that you need, or you're letting them score goals against you. And something that I think you would want to see, they seem to always have a ton of touches in the opponent's box, but they seem to not score. So I think that's something that I would be kind of looking at and being like, you got to convert more of those chances to be a top team in this league. Anything you want to add on that, Zach?
Not really.
No? Well, I mean, I think, Supra and all these teams that we're talking about, the Cavs and Supra, they're having decent seasons so far, and the CPL is starting to look really kind of juicy right now, and something I'm really excited to see how this season goes. Now, we have 20 minutes left. I want to talk about Bim. Bim Peppel, he is doing really well at Plymouth Argyle. Now, he's been linked with some clubs. Where do you think he's going, Zach?
Well, I mean, it's impossible to tell, really.
True. He's been linked with Watford, Portsmouth.
He has a release clause in his contract, but nobody knows how much it is. So we don't know if it's a good deal to, buy that release clause out.
Yeah.
If it's anything more than $4 million, I don't think anybody's biting, to be honest with you.
He has 16 goals in League One.
It's his first successful season, though.
True. That's like another thing.
I mean, a championship team, I think, will inevitably take a swing. A lower half of the table team who's kind of looking for somebody to come in and score goals. But I think if he goes to a team that already kind of has a set striker, I think, that's a mistake.
He's been linked with Watford. I think Watford would be a decent team to join. Watford have their main striker who had a great season this year, but he's on loan from Udinese, and most likely he's going to go back to Udinese. Luca Nierumgaard from Denmark. I don't really know how to Nierumgaard. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But he's done really well. 9 goals, 1 assist.
I mean,
but again,
decent. He's been decent. He started 35 matches, to be fair.
Yeah,
Played 43.
And Bim could possibly fit in there. But again, you got to think, yes, he's doing well, but I think a lot of people forget, it is League One. I mean, League One is a good league, especially for anybody playing. You're not going to freaking understate that league. It's just the thing I always don't, I just think, it's not the greatest league of all time. And yes, he's scoring 16 goals, but is that going to reflect in the championship?
I mean, you're just looking at the goals he scores.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are him being in the right place at the right time, which, that's a skill of itself. He's not really facilitating any sort of attack, in my opinion.
He has had some nice goals. But again, I think I don't know. I think the best thing would probably be staying at Plymouth. You know, the Plymouth Argyle fans love him.
Well,
Plymouth just didn't get to the playoffs this year, so maybe they'll possibly get it next
He
year.
would be their starting striker for sure.
Yeah, and he plays a full season.
Laurent, he was there for the entire year.
Okay.
He just didn't score at all in the first half of the year, and kind of came into his own. But you know, Plymouth has Laurent Talage on their team too, who seems inevitable to go to a championship team here as well. And I think if he does decide to stay at Plymouth, he will be their number one. And I think, you know, that'd be good for him as well to get even more minutes.
Yeah.
It's just, I think if he can move to a team, you know, maybe like Portsmouth,
Yeah.
who, you know, they were kind of a lower half of the table team in the championship this season, you know, finished 18th,
Yep.
just 8 points above relegation.
Yep.
And a team that I think, I can check here, did not have like a top tier striker really.
Yeah.
They had their top goal scorer was from a right winger,
Yeah.
and I think Terry Devlin was probably their striker. Oh no, he's a right back. Never mind. He scored the most goals, second most goals on that team. So they do need a striker at Portsmouth.
Yeah.
And you know, Portsmouth, I think, you know, they're a team that has a lot of support. They have a fairly large stadium
And a big fan club.
I mean, they have one of the better fan bases in England for sure. And I think it would be a team where he would get chances to be their number one as well in a higher league.
Yeah, I think, you know, to make the choice, I think Bim needs game time, so he needs to be number one. And I think he needs to stay in Europe. You know, there's links of him with MLS teams. I don't think he should go to the MLS.
Yeah, they desperately need a new striker at
Portsmouth.
Their current striker had 3 goals in 42 matches.
Okay, so potentially, I mean, that would be a good move for Bim to show. I mean, he played for Luton, but didn't play that much games. He played like...
I don't think he ever played a game.
Yeah.
I mean, I can check. I don't think he actually played for Luton. No, he never played a game for Luton.
Okay.
Luton bought him from Cavalry, of course.
Yeah.
He got loaned out to Grimsby Town.
Yeah.
He'd never scored there. Went back to Luton Town. Got loaned out to Bromley, only played 7 games, didn't score. Back to Luton. Went to Inverness in the second tier of Scotland, had 2 goals in 18. Went back to Luton. They loaned him out to Southend United in the National League, I believe.
Yeah.
Where he finally started to find some footing, scoring 11 and 23.
Yeah.
And, you know, back to Luton again, and then to Chesterfield, where he kind of had some success at the end of the season there, I think. You know, he played a lot of games finally.
Yeah.
And went back to Luton, where Plymouth finally got a move to another team permanently.
Yeah.
And now, you know, 18 goals in 41 games. Basically all of those goals coming in the second half of the season. And having a really successful run of games, you know, trying to bring this Plymouth team into those into the playoffs.
Did Luton get relegated from EFL?
What?
The championship?
Luton's in League One.
They're in League One now.
They didn't make the playoff.
Okay, so he was playing against Luton Town then.
Luton finished 1 spot above Plymouth in the table, not making the playoffs. 1 point below Stevenage and Bolton.
Yeah. You know, I think, well, you look at like going to the MLS, right? Josh Sargent, for example, was a championship player that went to the MLS. You heard one thing about his first game, and then you haven't heard him since. I think the exposure you get, you're getting more exposure playing for Plymouth Argyle and scoring, being the only really Canadian, like, in that league, like, scoring goals. You know, you're kind of singled out there, and it's good because you get that exposure, right? You go to the MLS, even if you're scoring a lot of goals, you might get more game time. You might get a better chance to make it onto that Canadian national team spot and play. But again, you're getting less exposure, and I think the best thing for him is to stay in England right now. Maybe move to a championship team.
Well, we've seen a lot of players get called up to the Canadian national team from the championship, and I think that's not necessarily a level where it's out of the reason where he can become
Exactly.
a big time player for the Canadian national team. You
Yeah.
know, the Canadian national team's still growing, where
Yeah.
players from smaller leagues can still make an impact
Exactly.
and come in and grow.
Yep.
And it's not out of the question. We saw Kone. He
Mhm.
made his first ever call ups from the championship when he was playing at Watford.
Yep.
Kyle Laren's playing in the championship. Liam Miller's playing in
Yeah.
the championship. Alfie Jones is playing in the championship. Those three guys who have played games for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Laren is the second all-time leading goal scorer
Exactly.
for Canada, and in fantastic form now, and probably going to be starting at the World
He
Cup.
probably will be our starting left striker beside Jonathan David. And I think, there is a pathway to the Canadian national team by playing in the championship, right? We're still a very young team when it comes to professionals coming in. And I think that playing in the championship will get more exposure to BIM and possibly get another call-up to the Canadian national team. Now, do you think it's out of the cards for him to get called up for this World Cup squad, or do you think it's possible?
I mean, it's definitely possible.
Will he play games? Probably not.
It just seems unlikely at this point.
Yeah.
I think because Promise David, I think, will be back from injury by the time
And if Promise David's
it
back,
rolls
you
around.
put him
He's
in.
not going to be starting.
No, but you have
He
him.
hasn't played games in months and months. But if Promise David is healthy enough to go, I think he will.
And they seem to
And-
rely on like the three strikers: Promise, Jonathan David, Laren, and Oluwaseyi for.
then you also have to compete with Tenny Oluwaseyi,
Yeah.
and it just makes things a little bit more difficult, I think.
where you can fill the position with another position that we need to be filled. I mean, Alistair Johnston's back.
And also players like Jason Russell Rowe playing for Toulouse now.
Your lights are changing there, Zach.
It's an interesting time for the Canadian national team, and I think still a time where players can break in.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 2 games before the World Cup,
Yeah.
so I don't think he'll necessarily be on that team.
Now, for the Canadian national team, like we've talked about this like ad nauseum. Oh, we got Zach switching the lights right now. Lightman Zach. We got Lightman Zach. Oh, he's Zach right now. A little play-by-play. Zach is grabbing a battery. He'll be back very shortly. Now, just to basically a little play-by-play here. Zach is now taking the battery out of the light stand and putting the new battery in so that we can finish this podcast episode with multiple lights. There you go. The light is back up. Now the only thing we need is a round of applause for Zach. Okay. So now Zach is going to put the headphones back on and we'll continue our discussion. Oh, right. I just did a play-by-play of you putting that battery back on, that light.
Not sure why this one was so dead.
I'm not sure either, but I'm
That
like,
one's still got like full battery.
I'm like, we're talking mid conversation, light comes off, so I'm like, okay. Well, I was gonna ask you a question. Now, what do you think Canada needs to do now? We have 2 games left in this. Like, I think that our strikers need to play better.
Well, I think what we need is the starters to all play on the same team. We haven't had that in ages and ages.
Yeah.
We need to play our top tier lineup.
Yeah.
The lineup we want to go into the first game at the World
Yep.
Cup with, and not, respectfully, not give Junior Hoylett minutes. He's not going to be a player who's going to cause any sort of
I mean, yeah, he's
goal-scoring
a veteran
opportunity.
presence, but I think, you can have him on the team because obviously he's a veteran presence on the team. But I think that, he's playing for Swindon Town right now. I think that there's better options than there is.
And, guys like Kamal Miller and Joel Waterman shouldn't be getting starts.
I think, if we have our main center backs back, that's fine. If we have Moise Bombito back, Cornelius back, I think Moise Bombito is back for Nice right now. No, is he still injured?
He's out until mid-May.
Okay. Well, we got Moise Bombito. We got Cornelius. Goaltender-wise, what are we thinking? Crepeau or are we thinking St. Clair? Because St. Clair is
they just played each other,
yeah,
and Crépeau had a fantastic game.
he did. He saved a shot from Messi.
Well, Crépeau had
He did like a
8 saves or something.
he did
in
like
that
a
game.
triple save, I believe.
Let's see here.
He did like a triple save, which was absolutely crazy. He saved a shot from Messi, then he saved another one. Like he's a very good, strong player.
He had 7 saves.
Yeah,
He prevented 1 goal,
yeah,
and I think, and then Dane St. Clair
yeah.
had 5 saves and
Yeah.
prevented half a goal. And, I think Crépeau made it so that Orlando City could come back into this game and end up beating Messi.
Yeah,
And
4-3.
I think just Crépeau, I think, gives a little bit more stability. I think he's a little bit more solid in the fundamentals than Dane St. Clair
Crépeau
is.
versus the MLS goalkeeper of the year, Dane St. Clair. Which, I mean, Dane St. Clair, like, I don't know. I think if you're talking about the Canadian national team, I think Crépeau has played better for the national team.
Looking at St. Clair's season so far in the MLS, 10 matches. He's played all 10, the full 90 minutes every time, obviously. 1 clean sheet and 19 goals conceded.
That's rough. They're also having a rough season, though. Like, I don't know if you blame that on the goalkeeper or just blame that on the players as well. It's hard for goalkeeper stats, right?
And Crépeau, in 10 matches, has 1 red card, no clean sheets, and 26 goals conceded.
Okay.
So
if you look on that, Dane St. Clair
really
is better.
have a great option.
It's either
currently.
Dane St. Clair or it's Crépeau. I think either one I'm fine with, to be honest, at this point.
If it was up to me,
Yes.
at this point, I think I'd give Owen Goodman, a shout in one of the games, see how he can do.
Yeah.
He's only 22.
But again, would you want 3 different goalkeepers for the 3 group stage games that we play?
Well, that's not what I mean. Play him in one of the games leading up to the World Cup, see how he does, against either Uzbekistan or Ireland.
True. I think he should be playing in one of those.
I mean, he's played 32 games in League One this season, 5 clean sheets, which isn't fantastic. 47 goals conceded, but he's playing on Barnsley.
He's young too.
He's only 22. He's loaned out from the Crystal Palace. So a good team.
Yeah. No, totally.
And he could.
I think he could possibly
he is the future of goaltending for Canada.
Especially if he's playing in England and stuff like that. Like, he probably will be. And also, like, I mean,
he didn't have a great start to the year.
Yeah.
But at the end of the year here, he played 5 of their last 8 games. It looks like, or whatever.
Yeah.
He had a 7.2 rating.
Okay.
7.6, 7.9, 8.1, and 7.0. So he had a good end to the year, I think. And, a goalie who I think probably gets another loan to another championship team next season.
Totally.
Or ends up being bought by a championship team next season.
Which would be good. I mean, goalkeepers, it's hard because you get bought by another team. You're not necessarily guaranteed game time, especially as a goalie, if you go up a division. But being a backup to a team is still really good. And you still get a lot of... you don't get game time per se, but you get a lot of experience. And I think that's another thing for a goalkeeper that's really valuable. Even during practice, getting shots from really good opponents, like it's something that it is good to build confidence. I think honestly, especially Uzbekistan or Ireland are 2 teams that we can definitely beat, in my opinion. So I think playing him there is not going to really affect much. It's also a friendly, right? Now I think this friendlies coming up are the 2 friendlies that we can kind of iron out a starting 11 and iron out kind of the players that haven't played for a club. Or haven't played for the national team in a while due to injury, right? I think, either goalie is fine, but, left back Davies is back, right? Cornelius is back. Moise Bombito, he might be, might not be. I think you play Kamal Miller or Waterman. I don't really know. Like,
I'd play Luc de Forgeron.
Oh, I guess if Luc de Forgeron is back, then we play him. Okay, we play him. And then right back wise, we of course play Alistair Johnston. So then,
I mean, we do also have Richie Larea.
Richie Larea is another. He's a dark horse because like he's actually doing really well in MLS, and he's also doing really well for the national team. So he could possibly maybe play over Alistair Johnston due to the fact of game time.
Right back is one of the strongest areas on the team.
Right back and left back, really.
We have Alistair Johnston, Nico Segura, Jaquil Marshall-Rudy.
Like totally, it is our best. One of our
Um,
best. Left back is pretty
Davies,
good as
Richie
well.
Larea.
'Cause Davies, Richie. I think both of our fullback positions are strong. Now, left mid, right mid. I think Liam Miller has to start, in my opinion, on left mid. Schaffelberg, I don't know if he's going to be
Over
healthy.
Ali Ahmed.
I guess that's hard. Like, it's hard to know because Ali
have-
Ahmed's playing well too.
We have good depth in
Yeah,
those winger positions
we do.
too. Left wing, we have Liam Miller, Marcelo Flores,
Yeah.
Ali Ahmed, and Junior Hoylett.
And then the right mid, of
Right
course.
mid's basically just Tejan.
Yeah.
We don't really have another.
But, play Tejan. Striker-wise, we know our strikers is David and Laren.
I feel like Nico Segura kind of played wing back a little bit recently,
Yeah.
so he could potentially play right
Mm-hmm.
mid. Yeah, I mean, Tani Oluwashai is apparently listed as playing right mid sometimes too. So
He does play it in Spain sometimes, I believe. but
it's kind of
again, it's a really fluid team, and I think that we are getting more depth, which is going to be interesting to see who actually is our starting 11. We might be moving around some of those positions. All right. This is going to be the end of our podcast episode 25. I can't believe we've got 25 episodes. Well, with that being said, Zach, can you do your sign off, please?
bonjour, au revoir, and have a great rest of your week.
See you later, guys.